glad to have you join us on Africa News 24 TV for news and updates of events happening around you. I am Lydia Ajayi. Let's begin in the courts, where the Court of Appeal in Abuja has struck out the appeal filed by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, saying it lacked merit. In its ruling, the court insists the appeal had become academic following Kanu's conviction by a Federal High Court on November the 20th. Delivering judgment this morning, a three-member panel of the appellate court held that Kanu's claims alleging violations of his fundamental rights, including human dignity, access to quality healthcare, and freedom of religion, could no longer stand in light of his conviction, life imprisonment sentence, and subsequent remand in prison custody. In the lead judgment, Justice Ugo noted that since Kanu's lawyer, Maxwell Opara, confirmed at the start of proceedings that his client was being held at Sokoto prison, the court could not grant his request to be transferred from the Department of State Services facility to Kuje prison. From the courts to the presidency, where the President Bola Tinubu has approved the constitution of Nigeria's delegation to the United States-Nigeria Joint Working Group. This is part of the strategies to strengthen the country's security challenges. The delegation is led by the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, whose recent high-level engagement in Washington, D.C. helped shape the renewed partnership framework. According to a statement by presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga, the team comprises of individuals from Nigeria's security and policy sectors. They include the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaru, Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Bernard Doro. Others are the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Mohammed, and the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. Some religious, traditional, and other stakeholders in the north-central part of Nigeria have pledged to work towards restoring peace in the region. They were speaking during a meeting with the Senate ad hoc committee on security, who is on a nationwide consultation to restore security. We have more in this report.
The Senate Committee Nationwide Fact-Finding Mission on Security Challenges stopped over in Jos, the Plateau State capital. It brings together stakeholders from across the north-central zone to this meeting with the lawmaker. This meeting, among others' targets, is to gather first-hand insights that will guide legislative intervention aimed at restoring stability. Chairman of the ad hoc committee, Abba Moro, emphasized the exercise reflects the inclusive nature of democratic governance, noting that collective decision-making remains essential to solving the nation's complex security threats.
This legislative exercise was conceived in recognition and acknowledgement of the fact that legislative process, practice, and procedures are inclusive in nature, geared towards collective decision-making for the common good of the country. This, of course, is one of the unique and distinguishing features of democracy that differentiates it from any other form of government. Therefore, this public hearing has been organized as an instrument of inclusivity to gauge stakeholders' opinions on how best to understand and collectively address the complex security threats confronting our nation.
The governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, represented by his deputy, Josephine Pio, reaffirms the state government's unwavering commitment to pursuing sustainable peace. He stressed confidence at the Senate initiative, along other peace-building efforts, would contribute significantly to ending the national calamity of recurring violence. She stressed that the time had come for citizens to stop trading blames along religious and ethnic lines. Instead, unite to confront the insecurities that had taken root in the region.
I am confident that this initiative, among others, will contribute immensely in finding lasting solutions to this national calamity that has befallen us. It is time to stop pointing fingers and comparing who lost more lives across religious and ethnic divides. It is time to join hands and unite and confront this demon.
Other stakeholders, including faith-based organizations and traditional institutions, share similar sentiments.
A faith-based organization dedicated to peace, justice, and the protection of human dignity, the GUINEA reaffirms its readiness to partner with government, security agencies, traditional institutions, and community leaders in building lasting peace across our communities.
And we will also use your distinguished offices to help the federal government of Nigeria to develop strategies that will put an end to the living crisis that we have lived with for several years.
On behalf of the chairman of the Council of Chiefs of Kenya, we want to sincerely thank the committee and ask God to lead us in this committee so that we will better come out with a good result.
The attendees expressed optimism that the engagement would move from dialogue to decisive action, ultimately leading to lasting peace across Plateau State, North Central Region, and the country at large.
Still in security, the Senate has denied claims that ransom was paid for the release of kidnapped victims in recent abductions in KEBBI and Niger states. The lawmakers restate the federal government's commitment to a strict no-ransom policy. They gave the clarification following widespread public speculation after several victims, including school children and villagers, were freed in separate operations. According to the Senate spokesperson, the rescue efforts were the result of coordinated security interventions and intelligence-driven operations carried out by military and police units operating in affected communities. Talking of security operatives, a peace and development group has urged Nigerians to avoid criticizing the performance of the country's armed forces amid rising insecurity. The group says negative reports can hurt soldiers' morale and weaken efforts to tackle attacks by non-state actors across the nation. We bring you more in this report.
A peace development group has praised Nigeria's armed forces for their response to recent attacks by non-state actors. At a press conference in Abuja, Afolabi Samuel, Secretary of Peace, Security and Development Forum, commended the military under the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede.
Our troops are making sacrifice across the country to restore peace. We, in the Peace, Security and Development Forum, believe that the sacrifices of our troops cannot be overstated. This is not the time to apportion blame. We must not bring down the morals of our troops. Instead, we must support and acknowledge their sacrifices.
Samuel urged the media and civil society to support the troop with positive and responsible reporting, warning that sensational stories could weaken morale and encourage the nation's enemies. He noted that violent non-state groups are active across the world and aim to create fear and disrupt development. He said Nigeria is facing its own shares of challenges as the economy recovers. Samuel called on journalists to stand with armed forces, stressing that the media has the crucial role in defending the country.
And to politics, former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has given the national leadership of the People's Democratic Party a 10-day deadline to resolve the growing crisis in the party. Lamido was speaking to supporters who asked for the recent Ibadan convention to be cancelled and for a national caretaker committee to be set up. He accused new forces in the PDP of sidelining long-time members like himself, saying this has contributed to the current crisis. Lamido stressed that his court actions are not about seeking power, but about protecting his rights and the party's legacy. He insisted that Umar Damagum and Senator Samuel Anyanwu remain the party's legitimate leaders until December 2025. Lamido called on PDP leaders, including Nyesom Wike, to forgive one another and support a united caretaker committee. Meanwhile, former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami has confirmed receiving an invitation from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The former minister has given assurances of his willingness to appear before the anti-graft agency. Malami, in a post on his personal Facebook page, describes himself as a law-abiding citizen who is committed to accountability and transparency. He added that his decision to publicly announce the development was consistent with his long-standing advocacy for openness and responsible governance. Let's head over to business. The federal government's power sector reforms are yielding measurable results, with over $2 billion in fresh capital flowing into the industry since the current administration took office. That is according to the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, who was speaking during the PricewaterhouseCoopers Annual Power and Utilities Roundtable 2025. Adelabu insists that at the heart of the power sector reform agenda is the long-standing metering crisis, where, for instance, 6 million consumers have been metered out of 13 million registered power consumers in Nigeria. However, this leaves nearly half of electricity users on estimated billing, a system widely criticized as unreliable and exploitative. Adelabu gives the federal government's efforts as closing the gap to include launching an aggressive metering rollout through two major initiatives. Nigeria's economy maintained its upward trajectory in November 2025, expanding for the 12th straight month, according to the latest Purchasing Managers Index released by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The headline PMI rose to 56.4 points from 55.4 in October, signaling strong growth momentum. The CBN reported that 29 of the 36 subsectors surveyed recorded expansion, with the water supply, sewage, and waste management subsector leading the gains. Paper products posted the steepest decline among the 7 subsectors that contracted, though the overall impact remained minimal against broad-based growth. And to some stories from outside Africa, the death toll in Hong fire incident has risen to 128 people, while over 200 people are still unaccounted for. Families of the scores still missing after the worst blaze in decades scoured hospitals this morning as firefighting operations ended. Secretary for Security Chris Tang told reporters that hundreds are still missing, sending his condolences to those affected. Flames had moved quickly through the Wangfu Court housing estate in Taipo district on Wednesday afternoon, spreading through the 8 high-rises and transforming the densely packed complex into an inferno. Around 200 people were still missing and 79 people were injured, including 12 firefighters, city authorities reveal. And in West Africa, leaders have suspended Guinea-Bissau from all ECOWAS decision-making bodies after the military coup of November 26. ECOWAS has also called for the immediate return of constitutional rule, saying the coup threatens the country's fragile democracy. ECOWAS, after an extraordinary session of ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council, said it has reviewed a report from ECOWAS Commission President Omar Toure about the crisis. Leaders expressed concern over disruptions to the electoral process and praised citizens for their resilience and commitment to democracy during the polls. And to sport, Chelsea welcomes Arsenal to Stamford Bridge on Sunday in one of the standout fixtures of this weekend's Premier League action, with both sides aiming to strengthen their positions in an increasingly competitive title race. Arsenal's sharp, well-drilled attack meets a Chelsea side searching for sustained consistency in what could be a decisive early season test. Elsewhere, Manchester City host a lead United team battling poor form and defensive instability. City, dominant at home and determined to keep pressure on the league leaders, enter as heavy favourites, while Leeds chase a much-needed positive result to halt their slide down the table. Arsenal arrive in West London with growing confidence. Their front line has been incisive, their pressing coordinated, and their midfield balance increasingly refined under Mikel Arteta. With pace in wide areas and strong rotational play through midfield, Arsenal are expected to control possession for long stretches. Even so, Chelsea's counter-attacking threat could offer the host a route to unsettle the visitors. And ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, Iran has announced plans to boycott the draw following a diplomatic dispute with the United States over visa delays. This development has stirred tension ahead of the global football event jointly hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Iranian officials say their delegation has been unable to secure the necessary travel documents for the ceremony, prompting accusations of discrimination and political interference. According to the Iranian Football Federation, multiple attempts were made to fast-track the visa process, but repeated delays left the team with no guarantee of participation in the official draw. The Federation described the situation as unacceptable, insisting that FIFA has a responsibility to ensure equal access for all qualified nations, regardless of political differences. And in entertainment scene, Fuji legend K1 The Ultimate has shared an emotional moment on stage after reuniting with his son and Nollywood actress Bisola Badmus during a recent performance that drew a massive crowd. The touching reunion comes months after the actress publicly spoke about her health challenges and the unwavering support she received from the musician, a gesture that strengthened public attention on their long-standing bond. Witnesses at the event said the crowd erupted in applause as K1 embraced both his son and Bisola Badmus, with many describing the moment as warm, unifying and symbolic of renewed family ties around the celebrated artist. Fans and industry insiders have since praised the reunion, noting that it highlights K1's commitment to family despite his demanding schedule, while also offering emotional support to Bisola Badmus as she continues her recovery journey. Popular Nigerian singer Damini Ogulu, popularly known as Burna Boy, has cancelled 2 spots on his No Sign of Weakness tour in the United States, sparking concern and speculation among fans. The first affected show was scheduled for Friday, November 28, 2025 at the Ambori in Minneapolis, while the second, set for December 1st, 2025 in Chicago, was also called off. Ticketmaster confirmed the last-minute cancellations on Thursday, a day before the Minneapolis show, and Burna Boy himself shared the news via an Instagram story, providing a link showing both dates as cancelled, while assuring fans that all other tour stops remain unaffected. Although no official reasons has been given for the cancellations, the move follows growing public criticism over a viral incident in Colorado, where the Grammy-winning artist reportedly asked a couple to leave his concert after noticing them sleeping during his performance. The incident sparked online debates, which intensified after Burna Boy said during an Instagram live session that he only wants true supporters at his shows. Follow us on all our social media platforms, and please check our website at africanews24.ng to stay informed and ahead. We'll catch you on the next broadcast. Bye for now.